Jay's Custom Creations is sponsored by Bits and Bits. Use the code JBates to save 10% off your next router bit or CNC bit purchase at bitsbits.com. This is a very simple build, very quick build. The emphasis here is actually quick because tonight our low temperature here in central Mississippi is 6 degrees, which 6 degrees Fahrenheit. That is cold for here. Not cold for a lot of other places. Well, still cold, but relatively speaking, that is crazy cold for here. We have an outdoor cat and I want to give it a little bit of heat over the night. So I want to get this done today for the coldest night of the year so far. I have a very basic design in SketchUp, so I've got all my dimensions. I've got some stuff right here to actually heat the cat house, and I've already got materials. So let me bring you in closer. We'll talk about what we have, and then I'll shut up and get to work. For the door, I've got a little piece of vinyl. This is actually advertised as a doghouse door. So it's a piece of vinyl already split into 3 mounting holes on the top. Kind of pricey for what it is, but it's not too bad. Just a basic door. So for the heat source, I'm going to use this particular bulb. This is a ceramic heat bulb, so this does not emit any light whatsoever. It's a 150 watt bulb, and these are typically used for like reptiles and such. That's basically what you want to search for if you're looking for one of these. So this is the heat source. It's going to plug into a plastic lamp holder, very basic lamp holder, and I don't want this to be running 24/7. I want it to run on command, very specific command, and I don't want to walk out there and turn a switch on and off every single day. So I'm going to control the heat source via this thermostat. So basic thermostat. This is a single pole thermostat. Black wire is your load, so that's your power in, and if it reaches the desired temperature to allow current to go through it, you'll have power on here. So this is the way we'll power this particular heat source. So this little doghouse, cat house, is going to have a thermostat in it. Just heating though, no air conditioning. This seems to be pretty accurate. It's 65 degrees here in my shop, according to my thermostat here in the shop, and this clicks. I'll put it up next to my microphone. You can hear it clicking right at 65. So I'm going to set this to a little bit below 70 when it's all set up, and that'll be nice and comfortable for a cat inside of a cat house. To plug all of this into the wall, I keep my extension cords that have damage. So this particular extension cord, who knows when the female plug end messed up at some point, or there was a cut in the wire, something. So this is going to be a good source for me to plug into all of this stuff inside the box, and this will plug into the wall outlet to power it. So I've got everything that I need right here for the heat. Now let's bring in the materials to actually start cutting. Now for the sheet good that I'm using, I only need a 48-inch square. I don't need a full 4 foot by 8 foot. So I picked up the least expensive 3/4 inch thick engineered panel that I could find, which happens to be Advantech OSB flooring. This is a subfloor material. It was $39, so I might as well say $40 for this particular sheet. Compare that to something like MDF, which at where I live was $60. So this is the least expensive route that I can go. And I've also picked up another sheet of 3/4 inch foam insulation panel. If you're not familiar with Advantech subflooring, this is OSB that has been manufactured in such a way that makes it really, really water resistant. It's got a tongue and a groove on each long end, which we'll cut off, not even really need it. But it was, like I said, the least expensive panel I could find. The downside of using this is it's one of the heaviest sheet goods that you can get. It's not light by any means. Stay. Because it's not light, I'm going to make the first cut with a circular saw, then make the rest of the cuts with a table saw. But I've got a bunch of staples in here that need to be removed first. That's unfortunate. That was quick and easy. These are basically just 6 rectangles. And this is the front door, okay? Now, for the front door, this piece of vinyl that I got is way too long for my needs. So I'm going to put it about where I want the top and cut the bottom to length. So what I've done is created this rectangular opening. I'm not going to go fancy. The top of this is arched. So if you wanted to do some arch to follow it, I don't care about any of that. I'm not going to go with anything fancy, just a regular rectangle. And to make these as straight as I possibly can, I'm going to first set this on top of the table saw and plunge cut the table saw blade up through each one of these straight edges using the fence for positioning, and then also using my Jessen roller guides as kind of a hold down to hold it in place as I raise the blade. Now after I get the majority of the straight cuts made at the table saw, I'll use a straight edge and a jigsaw to make nice crisp clean corners. For 5 of the 6 panels, glue and brad nails, that's just fine. This isn't fine furniture. This is a utilitarian piece that will serve a purpose. But for the final panel, which will be the bottom, this is upside down, the bottom is just going to be screwed in place, and the screws will allow me to remove it long term down the road if I need to access the inside to maybe change the thermostat or whatever the case may be. Now, the reason I'm using the bottom panel as a removable panel and not the top is because when I designed this, there was a little idea of a kind of like a decorative railing to go around the top, because that way we can put, you know, the cat food on top and make it look a little bit better than just a box. But if I do that railing idea, then that railing will prevent the top panel from being removed. So just make the top panel stationary and the bottom panel can be removed. That's totally fine. So now I think I'm ready for bypassing the safety feature on the table saw and cutting the foam to fit down in here. Well, scratch the table saw idea. I just remembered how annoying styrofoam is when you cut it and it goes everywhere. So I'll use a square and a knife. I'm going to use wood glue to hold the styrofoam to the Advantech. Now I know it's not made for it, but I think it's going to at least hold a little bit, and that's all I want in this situation. First up, for the electronics, I'm using a hole saw to drill an access hole through the styrofoam, and that'll give me a center point to follow that up with a drill bit, and this drill bit is sized the same as the extension cord that I'm using. Then I can remove the styrofoam, set it on the table, push the wire all the way through, and then start making my electrical connections where it's easy to see on the workbench. Opposite of the large access hole, I drilled a smaller access hole for the thermostat wires to come through, and it's white and there's a bunch of light, so you probably can't even see. Maybe you can kind of see a shadow. I used a razor blade to kind of make a groove right here that these wires will be pushed down into. I'll have to make it a little bit larger where these connections are. These will be pushed down into, allowing this surface of the styrofoam to mount flush on the Advantech. I got to make this a little bit larger, like I said, but the power wire coming in, now we're not dealing with a ground here. These are two very simple devices that do not have a ground, so I'm not dealing with a ground. I have power coming in, going to the power or the load wire on the thermostat, which in turn puts power on this red wire coming out. I clipped off a little bit extra of this to attach right here to go from the red wire to this connection down here, and I use these little connectors here to bend this around and make this a little bit easier for me to connect. So I've got my hot connected here and my neutral connected here. So once the thermostat trips, it'll allow power to come through here, powering this. So now I got to put all this back together nice and tidy inside the box, and then use screws through the mounting holes on both the lamp holder as well as the thermostat right here. I took the housing cover off of it. All right, time to test our handiwork here. This exit point right here, or entrance point, turned out to be really clean. I thought this was going to be kind of goofy, but no, really clean. I'll have to figure out some type of cable clamp to secure this to the box where this won't pull out, because I don't have a knot or a physical stop on the inside preventing this from being pulled out. However, I did replace the bulb, or install a regular bulb just to test it. So we're plugged in. And right now the thermostat is set high. If the temperature drops down below a certain amount, let's see if it works. I guess I got to turn it the correct way. Boom, there you go. heat. It warms up, turns off, cools down, turns on. Pretty fancy. I don't know if this is going to cause an issue with, oh, I got wood glue everywhere. I don't know if this is going to cause an issue with, well, maybe we can turn this light on. This being heat on this reflective surface, I don't know. But then again, we're not going crazy hot. I'm setting the thermostat to 70, so just gonna keep an eye on it tonight and see how this warms up and see how it all works. I've got a bunch of this 1 5/8 of an inch square stock from a previous project, various different lengths. So all I have to do is just cut it to length that I need for the legs, which is 22 inches. 22 inches will allow me 1.5 inches down below to be the actual leg, and 4 inches above, and that's going to be a good mounting place for the three-sided what am I looking for? Rail. That's it. Three-sided railing to keep the cat in. And honestly, that's just for looks because you don't really need a railing up here for the cat. The cat's going to be fine without it. Oh, no, the cat's not going to be fine without it because the cat likes to knock its food off and make a mess all over my garage. That's why I added the rail. I remember that. Anyway, 1 5/8 of an inch stock. I'm just going to cut it to final length and then use the table saw to make 2 cuts to form a rabbet. I want the legs to stick down by 1.5 inches, so I'll use one of these offcuts, which is 1 5/8, close enough to elevate it off of the work surface. Then I can use some glue and brad nails like the old days. Glue and brad nails for everything. About those rails that I mentioned, we got an interior rabbet on all of these legs that I can attach a rail to, and my initial design had a long side rail, and then one in the back. So on the same side as the front, the cat could jump up here and eat its food or whatever. But I think it would actually be more beneficial to have just the front and back have the rails. I've got a piece of scrap wood that's absolutely perfect. There's a not dead center, so I can use 1/2 for this side, the other half for this side, and eliminate that knot. So it's a good use of materials. And I think having the short sides with the rails will be beneficial because this is going to go up against the wall anyway. So if the wall is right here, I don't need a rail. It's not going to, the bowl is not going to be pushed this way for knocking the food off. And I say that, but I guarantee I'm going to get this up here and then that silly cat will knock the food that way. It's going to happen. It's just going to happen. So let me get this cut and we'll just attach on these short sides for the rails. You guessed it, glue and brad nails. The final piece of the puzzle is this carpet remnant that I've been kicking around in the back of my truck for far too long, so glad to get it put to use. The cat will enjoy that. It's obviously ugly. It's not going to stay this way. I want to let this sit in the garage for a week or two, letting the cat use it through the really cold week that we're about to have. And after it warms up a little bit, I will take it out and then paint it. I promise you, my wife will not let me get by with not painting this. If this is going to live in the garage, it has to look a little bit, not much, a little bit better than the way it does. So the only thing left for me to do is put it in place, wait till the sun comes up tomorrow, take a photograph of it for a thumbnail, Photoshop on some colors so it looks like it's actually completed, because no one's going to click on this if I just throw it up there like that, and no one's going to know except all of those who watched to the end of the video. Thank you for watching. If you are interested in everything else that I publish, go to my website, jayscustomcreations.com/newsletter and sign up for my email newsletter. You guys take care. I'll catch you in the next one.